2 years. Some of you have been in the gym for 2 years, tracking every macro, hitting protein targets, sleeping 8 hours, doing everything the internet told you to do, and you're still not where you thought you'd be by now. The muscle is there, but it should be more. The strength is there, but it should be higher. And every time you look in the mirror, you tell yourself you just need to train harder, eat cleaner, be more consistent. That's not it. That's not it at all. You have been consistently failing to address the actual problem, and the actual problem is not your training split, not your protein powder, not your sleep schedule. It is living inside your stomach right now, trillions of them. And they are either working for you or robbing you blind, and based on how the average gym person eats, it is almost certainly the second one. Here's the thing that makes this genuinely embarrassing for the fitness industry. The gut-muscle axis, the direct biological communication highway between your gut bacteria and your skeletal muscle tissue, has been published in peer-reviewed research for years. Multiple independent research teams simultaneously identified it. Scientists have been studying it, writing about it, replicating findings across different populations. And somehow none of this made it into the protein content on your feed. Instead, you got another video about whether to eat 160 grams or 180 grams of protein. You got another debate about chicken breast versus steak. You got timing advice that we already proved doesn't matter as much as everyone claimed. Or meanwhile, the variable that is silently determining what percentage of all that protein actually reaches your muscles, completely ignored. Low-key criminal fear. So let's actually talk about what's happening in your gut, because this is where it gets properly wild. Your gut is not just a tube that food passes through on its way out. It is home to trillions of bacteria that actively participate in almost every physiological process in your body, including, and this is the part nobody told you, muscle protein synthesis. Research published in Science Translational Medicine took mice that were raised with zero gut bacteria, completely sterile, and looked at their muscles. These mice developed significant muscle atrophy despite eating the same diet as normal mice. Same food, same training stimulus, less muscle. When scientists transplanted a healthy microbiome into these germ-free mice, muscle mass increased, muscle growth genes activated, and oxidative capacity improved. Your bacteria are not passengers, they are crew members. And right now, the typical gym diet is throwing most of them off the ship. The gut-muscle connection is not some fringe theory cooked up in one lab that needs 20 more years of validation. This is established, replicated, mechanistically explained science that has been coming out for years, and the supplement industry has been pretending it doesn't exist because there is no protein-branded solution to sell you for it. The solution is embarrassingly simple, and it involves eating food that most gym people have decided is irrelevant to building muscle. We'll get to that. But first, you need to understand exactly how badly you are currently damaging the internal environment that determines your gains. Because once you see the mechanism, you will never look at your meal prep the same way again. Let's start with the thing your gut bacteria actually produce that connects them directly to your muscles. Short-chain fatty acids, butyrate specifically. These are compounds that beneficial gut bacteria generate when they ferment dietary fiber, and research published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle found that administering short-chain fatty acids to pre-sarcopenic mice increased muscle mass, doubled muscle glycogen content, and improved anti-fatigue capacity by over 50%. The molecular pathway was clear. These gut-derived compounds activated the same mTOR and AKT signaling cascades that leucine and resistance training trigger. Think about that for a second. The same anabolic switch your protein shake is trying to hit, being activated by what your gut bacteria produce. Which means if your gut bacteria aren't producing those compounds, and for most gym people they absolutely are not, you are leaving a significant anabolic signal completely untouched every single day. And here is where the gym diet becomes genuinely self-defeating, no cap. The bacteria that produce butyrate, species like Roseburia, intestinalis, and Eubacterium rectal, require dietary fiber to survive. That is their food source. Without it, they decline. Without them, butyrate production collapses. Without butyrate, the anabolic signaling goes quiet. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracked exactly this cascade in men consuming a high-protein, low-carbohydrate diet. fecal butyrate dropped dramatically within weeks. The butyrate-producing bacteria collapsed fourfold. And this is the part that should make every gym person rethink their meal prep. Toxic protein fermentation byproducts surged to replace them. Because here is what most people don't know. When your gut bacteria run out of fiber to ferment, they start fermenting undigested protein instead. And the metabolites they produce from protein fermentation, hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, p-cresol, are directly damaging to the intestinal lining, the very lining through which your amino acids are supposed to be absorbed. And speaking of amino acid absorption, this is where the gut-muscle connection gets personal. A 2024 study published in Cell Host and Microbe screened over 100 common gut bacteria and found multiple species that actively deplete intestinal amino acids before your body can absorb them. They colonized germ-free mice with 3 bacterial species common in dysbiotic guts and measured the result. Serum levels of histidine, lysine, glutamine, and tryptophan all dropped significantly compared to controls eating the exact same food. Your bacteria are eating your amino acids, the ones you paid for, the ones you carefully weighed on your food scale. Gone. Fermented by bacteria that shouldn't be dominating your gut in the first place but are because you've been feeding the wrong ones for years. Or research published in 2024 on elite water polo players showed the other side of this equation directly. Athletes supplementing their protein intake with prebiotics and probiotics gained significantly more skeletal muscle mass, body cell mass, and protein mass than the control group consuming identical protein without gut support. In the same 31-day training period. Same training. Same protein. Different gut environment. Measurably different muscle outcomes, and published research comparing professional athletes to sedentary controls consistently finds that high-performing athletes carry dramatically more diverse gut microbiomes, enriched in exactly the species that produce butyrate and support amino acid absorption. The bacteria in your gut are a performance variable, a measurable, modifiable, currently neglected performance variable. There's one more mechanism that absolutely nobody in gym culture is talking about, and it is probably the most important one. When your gut bacteria are disrupted and the intestinal lining becomes compromised, a process called increased intestinal permeability, bacterial toxins called lipopolysaccharides start leaking into your bloodstream. This triggers a systemic inflammatory response. Your immune system floods the body with inflammatory cytokines, including TNF-alpha. And research has shown that TNF-alpha directly impairs skeletal muscle protein synthesis by blocking the same translation initiation process that leucine is supposed to activate. It creates what scientists call leucine resistance. Your muscles stop responding normally to the amino acid signal, so you drink your leucine-rich whey shake, it hits the bloodstream. And the anabolic response is blunted because your immune system is busy responding to your leaky gut. You are spending money on the most leucine-dense protein on the market and getting a fraction of the response you should be getting because your gut is in a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. That is the hidden tax your diet has been paying without you knowing. So what actually fixes this? The answer is both simpler and more permanent than anything you've been sold before. A Stanford randomized trial found that adding fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, fermented vegetables, for 17 weeks consistently increased gut microbial diversity and measurably decreased 19 different inflammatory markers including IL-6. Not a supplement, fermented food. Research on the probiotic strain, Bacillus coagulans, GBI30, specifically showed that co-administering it with whey protein increased leucine absorption by approximately 20% compared to whey alone, because it produces enzymes in the gut that enhance protein digestion before your body even gets to absorb it. You want better whey absorption? Fix the gut environment the whey is landing in. And the fiber situation is genuinely alarming. The average person consumes around 17 grams of dietary fiber per day against a recommended intake of 25 to 34 grams. For gym people eating clean, high-protein, low-carbohydrate diets, that number is often even lower. Oats, legumes, slightly green bananas, cooled sweet potatoes, garlic, onions, asparagus. These are not soft eating. These are the food sources that feed the bacteria that produce the compounds that activate the same anabolic pathways your protein shake is trying to trigger. Ignoring fiber while obsessing over protein is like pouring premium fuel into an engine you've never serviced and wondering why it isn't performing at full capacity. Your gains aren't just in your macros, they're in the ecosystem you've built to process them.